Good morning or afternoon or whenever you're watching this. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is well on this fine day. Hello to all the people out there that are here this morning. I appreciate that. I wanted to say greetings to Mr. StreamYard. Hope you guys get that joke by now. Mr. Jack Hamilton, Born Free, The 1-1, Market Watcher, Miguel, Renee, Scott, Brian, and whoever else is here whose name I don't see or who I can't pronounce or anything like that. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to do two videos. I'm going to do two live streams. One, I'm doing this one, and then I'll do a second one. Hi, Mark. I'll do a second one later on. And Boogie, is it Boogie on or Bogey on? I can't tell. Is that a golf or some other reference? Good morning to everybody. So what I want to do is we'll do a little quickie on Gtii this morning, and then I'll do another one on a different topic a little bit later. So what I want to do is bring you up to speed as to what has gone on since our last discussion on this topic. I think our last discussion, we were talking about that 4 out of the 5 auditors or people that need to certify the audit had done so. And thank you, Bogey. And I have a friend whose name is, his last name is similar, and we call him Bogey also. So that's funny. So the last one we were talking about, the 5th person had signed, Alan Pollock. I think Pollock is his name. And we talked about other stuff. So kind of trying to keep you apprised as we go of things as they occur. Before I address that point and some other stuff that has happened, I wanted to address a few points just so we're clear and we all know where we start, whatever the hell that means. So I heard, I don't know, I heard that the new Taco Bell in Tehran just opened up with a new item. It's called the Burrito Supreme Leader. That's what it's called. My aunt, she used to say, she's no longer around, unfortunately, but she used to say, sometimes you have to hug people, especially the people you really don't like, just so you know how big a hole you have to dig in your backyard. Just think about that one a little bit. My cousin, so my aunt, this is a different person related to me. My cousin couldn't afford his water bill, so I got him a get well soon card. See if those words work. Get well soon. And last but not least, at I went to this job. I know I'm kind of old for the job interviews, but I just went to a recent job interview. I was shocked, but the person that was interviewing me asked if I could perform under pressure. I said, quickly I thought about it and I said, I'm not really sure, but I can take a stab at Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, so let's talk about what has happened since the last time. So one, someone was gracious. Ham, if you all guys know, we've been looking to try to get Pollock served. He had heard about that. He contacted me. Somebody else had contacted him. Apparently, they knew Pollock because of Wes and Wes Christian. And so about last Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday, I believe contact was made with Pollock, and my information was that he agreed to sign off on whatever he needed to certify. I don't know if he's done that, but that's what I was told. And that was facilitated apparently by Ham, and I thank him for doing that. And whoever else contacted Ham and whatever. I then contacted the Receivers Council, and I've mentioned this before. This is just the way it is. The Receivers Council and I just don't get along. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Doesn't make it pleasant, but it is what it is. So I communicated, I think last Friday, I said, listen, my understanding is that Pollock is going to sign off, so jump on it. Please jump on it and get it done. I contacted them a few times since then. They have not responded clearly. They responded basically they can't say because it's not public information. Now, why is that significant? Because if it's public information and the stock is tradable, I understand that there's concerns that that information could be used, and that's a concern. However, this stock is not tradable, but council is elected not to provide that information. Perhaps they have some other reason, whatever. Find it annoying. Hopefully that Pollock has complied. If he has complied, we will know shortly, one way or the other, because there's a hearing set up, I think in about a week, where he's given the opportunity to comply prior to that, or else the hearing goes forward. And if the hearing goes forward, he can be held in contempt. So I presume we will have more information prior to that time. If and when the Receivers Council does respond with an answer, I will let you know. And I find that annoying. Yes, I do find it annoying dealing with the Receivers Council. Just the way it is. Notwithstanding the wonderful job they have done in certain aspects, and I don't believe and I feel confident they're trying to assist the receiver. Now, whether the receiver's interests and the shareholders' interests always align, I don't think that is always the case. And if I see that, I certainly will comment when that is the case. And if I could facilitate or encourage Receivers Council to move more quickly, I will do that. And I think just by bothering them, that happens to speed up the process. And maybe that's what makes it a difficult process too. We're supposed to be on the same side. I don't really feel that necessarily interpersonally, but so be it. So we will see about Mr. Pollock. And we will know within next week once he's signed off. And if all others sign off, I was informed those were the only prerequisites to getting the audit done. So once that's done, I expect the audit to be done. Now, I know that John Forrester, I saw in one of his tweets, he indicated that negotiations were ongoing well, and he was optimistic, etc. And everything sounds good. And I've obviously had communications with him also, and it all sounds optimistic. I'll just throw that out there. So we have the audit issue, and I've communicated that to the Receivers Council. Hopefully, they have facilitated the completion with Pollock. So that's the one issue. The other issue is, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, there was a withdrawal of a motion to go after those specific shares that were held only by Reichman and by Griffin. And it seemed like litigation was going forward from there. And I encouraged everybody to litigate that against Reichman, because I think that there's a strong, if the receivers' reports are accurate, then there's a strong case. And I also, let the chips fall what they may. If they want to take the fifth, if they want to go to jail, so be it. So in accordance with that, this week, the Receivers Council has sent out or has generated a bunch of subpoena SDTs, subpoena ducis tecum. So what's the difference between a subpoena ducis tecum and a subpoena? So a subpoena generally requires the attendance of somebody or a party, and a subpoena ducis tecum, which is, of course, Latin, we all know that, requires the production of certain documents, not the appearance of a person. So the Receivers Council sent out had a bunch of these issued according to Nevada procedure. It would be done differently in California, but according to Nevada procedure, issued a bunch of subpoenas. I'll call them subpoenas, or as we refer to them in the legal parlance, you would call these SDTs. Not those kind of SDTs, by the way. But subpoena ducis tecum, that's what it stands for. And these will be sent to certain parties requesting documents. The ones that I see so far are all bank-related documents. So they generated subpoenas to Barclays, Wells Fargo, City National Bank, U.S. Bank, Bank of America, PayPal, Apple Pay, and American Express. And these are requesting statements, wires, canceled checks, communications, etc., involving GTII and transactions involving monies that were transmitted during certain periods of time involving these institutions, involving, I think David Reichman was mentioned, Dustin Reichman was mentioned, a bunch of entities were mentioned. 8 separate subpoenas were sent out. The way it's sent out, the other party will get them. They'll be served. They will have an opportunity to respond and object or produce documents. The subpoenas, as I read them, called for a production by July 23rd of 25. So if they produce the documents by that date, they don't have to actually physically go to Nevada and do a production. So most likely there may be some the parties whose documents are requested. So let's say I have a bank account and somebody wants to get access to my bank documents and they issue a subpoena. That subpoena comes to me, whose documents they belong to, and I have an opportunity to object also. So there may be objections filed. The request could be limited. I looked at a couple of the subpoenas, and there probably were, on one, there were 80 individual requests, and on another one, there were 90 individual requests. So they may comply with all of them. They may comply with some of them. They may object to some of them. They may produce documents. I presume there may be additional subpoenas that are issued. And I think they're trying to establish, this is my guess, because they haven't told me, but I think they're trying to establish that some of the transactions that occurred with these institutions may not have been strictly for the benefit of GTII. Wow, that's a earth-shattering thought, but I think that's what the thought process is. So we should know, or the counsel for the receiver should know by July 23rd what documents they're going to get, if they're going to get documents, if they have to litigate those, etc., what objections have been stated. And prior to that date, we also should get more information about the audit completion. So that is the update. So what goes on now is the litigation involving the recapture of shares and monies is going forward. That may result in mediation. Mediation, I think I've mentioned this before, but just to repeat, there's 2 types of things. There's mediation, there's arbitration, just kind of the way the general public would understand it. So arbitration is where you actually have a person acting like a judge. A mediation is where you actually have a person acting as a negotiator. They're trying to get the parties together, but no one is required to do that. In an arbitration, there will be some kind of final result. In a mediation, not necessarily. Again, I'm skeptical of a mediation. I'd prefer if they just hammered these guys, especially Reichman, and let the chips fall where they may. The fact that they sent out subpoenas is a good first step. I encourage them to continue with that, take the depositions of all the relevant parties, certainly the main parties being, I mean, the first person I would start with would be David Reichman. I would set up his deposition, and again, I'd force him, if he's going to do it, to take the fifth or to make up nonsense under penalty of perjury, one or the other, or to testify truthfully under penalty of perjury, whatever he would so choose to do. But based upon the receiver's reports, and all these videos are based in part upon the receiver's reports and the stuff that he got, I would be taking an aggressive stand. So there's a question from Market Watcher, and I think this was asked of John Forster. Can GTII reactivate before the merger? It could, theoretically, but I think people think that it'd be more likely, or it would be less problematic if there was a business in already. So I think once it's active, once the audit's done and it does all the filings it needs, that technically it probably could be reactivated technically, but I think, and so it might be, but I think the odds are that it would be better if there was a real company merged into it. I think that's what the AI-versity thing is at this point in time. That's at least the thought process. So hopefully that answers that question. It could happen, but we don't know. The receiver won't respond, by the way. The receiver won't respond because if the receiver is represented by counsel, you're supposed to go through, at least me, I'm supposed to go through counsel. So I don't talk directly with the receiver. Shareholders, that's up to you. And to the extent you reach out to the receiver, do it in a nice, gentlemanly or gentlewomanly manner. You could ask whatever questions you have, but do it in a professional manner and nice, so we don't create any strain between any shareholders and the receiver. But I can't directly contact the receiver. Well, I can theoretically, but I try to do it through his counsel. I try to do it in that manner. And I know that the receiver sees this and hears it anyway, so he's gonna get the same information. But for any of shareholder who wants to reach out to either the receiver or the receiver's counselor, they can try to be brief and try to be succinct and professional, and they will more likely consider your request. So, quick summary. Audit, we'll find more about Pollock, apparently that he's agreed to sign. The subpoenas have gone out to get bank records with regard to expenditures made by certain parties, which I think is going to end up going to ultimately, and again, I don't know this for certain, but ultimately this will go towards cancellation, I think, of shares, to the extent that expenditures and monies were paid, and perhaps there's irregularities and shenanigans that went on. Eventually, I think this might result in the cancellation of shares, which we'll have to see, or other remedies. We shall see. So 1 week has passed. Seems to be some progress in terms of the audit, and subpoenas have gone out towards the litigation against the parties. And that's it. I'll keep you apprised as we go. If there's stuff that goes on next week, that's great. I think the next thing we'll find out is about Pollock, maybe other stuff, but next thing is Pollock. Keep you apprised, and that's it. If you have questions, comments, concerns afterwards, after you see this silly video, please put it in there and I will respond. Appreciate your attention. Share, comment, like. Hi, Lee. Hi, John, by the way. Jason. How do you pronounce that? Topo Chico. Topo Chico. Is that it? Topo Chico? I like that name. Anyway, and Deborah, and Muscaf, and Lee. And hi, John. Anyway, for all you out there, thank you for watching. And if you have comments, please let me know, and I'll keep you apprised. I'm going to do another live stream in about an hour, at least that's my plan at this point in time, involving a different topic in different things. So if you care to watch that, let me know. Anyway, otherwise, have a great day. Be well, take care of yourself, and so long.